Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we have honest conversations about the good, the bad, the ugly, the real side of building a business. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Deanna Rogers. Hey, Deanna, how you doing?
Hey, all right, Emily, we're excited today. You know why? Today's one of our fun topics. It's travel. And you know how much we all love to travel while we have our businesses. So no one better than the one person that we trust our travel with. And that's Shanta Mony. Hey, Shanta, how are you?
Hi, Deanna. Hi, Emily. So great to be here with y'all.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. And I got to tell you, like Emily and I just got off of our investor cruise a couple weeks ago with Bill and our team. And Shanta is the one that's been putting on these cruises for us the last couple years. She travels all over the world. She does travel for lots of different people, different companies, trips, like amazing trips. But one of the things you'll hear Emily and Bill and I talk about all the time is that, you know, when you own your own bookkeeping business, or maybe you have a different type of business and you're listening here today, whatever business you have, if you're able to work remotely, take your laptop and get a Wi-Fi connection, you can travel and work anywhere. Bookkeeping, especially bookkeepers are able to take their laptop. If you want to work from the cabin, from your cruise cabin or your cruise balcony, giddy up, go, right? Like Bill and I did. We were working while we were on the cruise. We just had a better view than where we normally have in an office, right? So, Emily, let's start there. Shanta, why don't you first tell us a little bit about your background, and then we're going to dive into some real fun travel questions.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I've always been interested in travel ever since I graduated from college. Really didn't do much at that point. Then we came over. I'm originally from India. So when we came over here, you know, we had a family to start. We didn't have much money to go really get into a business as such. We had to support the kids and through their college. And that's when I really started my travel business. I knew that I wanted to do it, even though I was in corporate. I started my travel business and I did it part-time. And I was able to do both. You know, all you need to do is have that passion of whatever you want to do. So, if your bookkeeping is your passion, then, you just have to go for it and do whatever time you can do that. So that's what I did. And then I took an early retirement a few years down the road. And now I'm in the full time in the travel and never stepped back or never looked back. But what I enjoy most about it is even just for my business, I don't have to be stuck in a storefront or my office. I can work from anywhere. And it's similar to most businesses. I know some businesses you have to be, but in your instance, in bookkeepers, like you said, they can take their laptop as long as you have a connection. I've worked from sometimes at the beach when I have a connection there, which is close to the resort, or like you said, in the cabin. So it's really important that you have that flexibility and you take advantage of it.
So Go ahead. We have so many fun things I want to talk about. I want to go back, if I can, really quick. I didn't know this about you, that you actually worked in corporate first and started building this on the side. That's going to resonate with a lot of folks that we have on here wanting to start something new while they are on a different work journey. Can you talk a little bit about how you started that and balanced that? I
was in corporate for 22 years.
Okay.
I started my business, I think, halfway into it.
Okay.
It was tough. It's like when you have a passion, you got to make things work. Mm-hmm. It's not always an easy road. You got to do what you have to do.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second, Shanta. That right there is, if you guys aren't listening, what you just said, you glossed over it. That's a mic drop. Say it again, Shanta. If you love and you're passionate about what you do, say it again.
Yeah. When you have a passion and you want to make that work, you got to do whatever it takes to make it work. So that was me. I worked 9 to 5. I knew there wasn't much I could do during my work hours, but you have those times. I would do it in my lunchtime. I would come home, work on that. So, and my clients knew that I was available at those certain times. They don't expect you to be available for them 24 hours if you set those boundaries and those limitations as what your availability is. So they were very considerate, and that's how I grew my business. And I grew it to a point where I knew that I wasn't doing justice to my corporate work. And so I took an early retirement and stepped back and just committed it full time. And it's been a journey. It's been great journeys before, and now it's a wonderful journey after that.
Was that scary, making that transition, deciding to go full in on your passion business?
It was, especially after you invested so many years in corporate, right? What are you giving up? What are you doing? But fortunately for me, I did have a spouse who could support me as well. But even though even sometimes you don't, you just have to build it, come to a point where you feel comfortable, and you just have to take a leap of faith and do it. Because
sometimes you got to bet on ourselves.
Yeah, you have to be confident, and there's never a good time. You always say, okay, I'll do it next year, maybe not, and then something may come up. So just have to jump right into it.
We hear that a lot, don't we, Deanna? We hear that a lot of people waiting and saying, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, I have two things that as you were just talking. Number one, you said that you had you obviously have your husband, Sam, that y'all do this together. And I love that, because Bill and I do our journey together. Mm-hmm. And it's really fun to be able to go out and build a business and do it together side by side and divide and conquer. Right. So mm-hmm. One, I think that's, if anyone's listening, you're thinking about doing something with your spouse or partner, or maybe it's a family member, don't be afraid of doing that, because it can actually be really fun, and you can do so much more with having someone that's supporting you. Number two, recently, and I watch where you and Sam travel, and I live vicariously through you, by the way, on all your travels. But the one thing that even recently, Emily and I did a podcast with someone that was talking about mental health in a business, and it was saying to step outside and make sure that you maybe travel or have a different location that you're working for. And I got to tell you, I agree. And I think that's why travel to me is so important. Bill and I, we work sometimes, there's been times that we'll work 80 plus hours when we're really busy on something. And you can get sucked into that entrepreneur hole of just pounding it. And we had to tell ourselves, there's this one day of the week that it's family day. It's for our grandchildren, and don't touch it. We had to set boundaries for ourselves, not for anyone else. It was actually for ourselves, right? We had to do that.
Well, it's hard too, because you work from home, right? You're in the environment. The laptops are here, the offices are here. It's hard to separate from that.
But then when we just recently came back from this cruise a couple of weeks ago, I got to tell you, it was a mental reset for Bill and I both. Even though we were working, we'd get up super early before our sessions and stuff, and we'd get our laptop out, and we were working and making sure everyone was happy. But we were in a different location. We were looking at the ocean. We were sitting out there with the breeze. I had a fun drink in my hand while I was working, fun. But there is something about that mental health recharge, and travel can do that. And it doesn't mean that you're letting go of your business. It doesn't mean that you're not taking your business seriously, but there is something about that mental health reset and being able to say, I'm just going to go work from somewhere else this week. Right?
Yeah. It does. It does make a big difference. Like you said, even just, the water, if you it's such a peaceful place to be in. And sometimes you don't even have to, do it often. It doesn't have to be big trips. Just take short getaways and do that. Such a big difference, and also said that, people have in the corporate world, they found that when employees take a lot more vacation, they're so much more productive and so much more, not only in their office life, in their family life. So it makes a huge difference. And we've got to look at our business as what are we doing for ourselves, right? Nobody's there to tell you, take your vacation. Mm-hmm. You have to schedule it, right?
No, but it's a goal too. And I will say that even if you were just planning a vacation or a travel work trip or something like that, it's also something that you put on a sticky note, put on your calendar, and it's something that you're excited about working towards. And then when you are there, you don't feel guilty because you've earned it, and you can still manage your clients while you're doing it. It's not like I have to ask permission from anyone. This is your business. You can do it, but it gives you something to work towards. I have on my calendar, I'll send them to Emily and I, and we'll be like, here's the trips we've got planned. Right. And I know I'm excited about those, and I work toward this, but it doesn't mean I don't work while I'm on them. I still work while I'm on them, but it gives me something also to it's something that's okay, I've got a little bit of something here on the horizon. I'm looking forward to it. And here's where I'm going to unplug just a little bit,
Yeah. You're it's so true. You do have to put it on your calendar. Otherwise it kind of gets overlooked. And like you said, it's a lot of the fun and the excitement is looking forward to things.
I get it.
And making it work for you when you're working and enjoying. What fun is that to have business and pleasure combined together?
That's true.
Exactly. Well, we can talk about that too. We just got off this investor cruise. So an event where we were able to network, we were able to meet with peers, but also have fun at the same time. I mean, we were all sitting around, sitting at the breakfast table, at the dinner table, collaborating, coming up with new ideas while looking at the ocean on a boat, having fun. So you can marry the two, the work and the balance and the fun and the travel together, right?
Oh yeah, and a group like that, like the one we just came off, there's so much of energy, and you build off and feed off each other, and it's really it's a whole different experience. It truly is, and I think you brought a great group of folks, and we had such a great time. I think it's something that everybody should experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. So talking about you and Sam, I know that you were in the corporate world and you came out and decided to do this, and you and Sam are doing this together. What have you had to learn to make both the business and your relationship with Sam work together? Is there anything that you guys had to like set boundaries on or agree that these
Remember, this is real talk.
Yeah, it's real talk.
It is. I got to admit, it hasn't been easy, and it's you have to set, like you said, you have to have boundaries. There are skills that he's really great at, and I leave him to do that. And he knows there are some things that he doesn't want to do, and I do better at it. So, but there are times, where we do have some conversations, which is right and which is not. So it is, you have to come to an understanding and really set boundaries as to what you're going to do and what your partner is going to do. So it's not always easy, and we still work through it. We still have our talks and our disagreements and things, but we talk over it. We talk through it. Yeah. And it's the open communication is so important.
Well, Bill and I both came from that side of the world, and we both had our single lanes that we were completely in control of. And we're both A personalities, right? So when we decided to do something together, Emily's like, yes, you are. But when we decided to do together, it real talk, y'all listening, it took a hot minute for us to really figure out our lanes, because we both were so used to controlling what we do, or controlling the path of our employees, or controlling the path of the business, because we were both very strong and ran our own companies. And so when we decided to merge and do something together, we had to really define, okay, this is your skill set. This is my skill set. This is your lane. This is my lane. This is the lane we'll do together. And then when we do this lane together, we got to overly communicate. And we had to just make those ground rules, and it's worked. And we're always evolving. We evolve all the time in that. But, it can be tough, like, because you are 24/7 working together, whereas before you weren't. But then you've got that point of you are working together 24/7. Right. There's the other side to where you can travel together. You can do all the things that you can do and build it as you go. You both are in sync of where you want the business to go, and it's not a his and hers, and so I think it's really fun. But, for any of you that are listening that has a family member or a partner or a spouse or whatever that you're doing, it's okay to know that there's going to be, some rocky patches, but you just got to figure out what your end goal is together and do it. And then, like Shanta said, and then reward yourself with really fun travel that you guys can do together, and really just, make the work balance fun.
Exactly. And it's just what a privilege to be able in entrepreneurship to be able to build with your spouse, your partner, not only in life, what you're doing, but your family, your financial future. How are you growing in this life personally and professionally together? And it's always a privilege to watch when people come together and do that. And I remember, Deanna, you even mentioning, maybe it was a few months ago, that you and Bill had the realization, wow, we've never been this much in sync as we are now building these businesses together. And I think that's something people should think about. If they want to think about building a business, bring on your spouse, a family member. Who can you build this with, and enjoy the ride along the way, right?
I think it was really clearly defining, though, because we had to like put pen to paper and go, well, here's what your role is going to be. Here's my role. And here's where we have to overly communicate, because I'm used to just doing this way. You're used to doing this way. And we're just running and having our teams that do stuff for us. And we only reported to our teams and told our teams down. And now we kind of got to make sure we're communicating with each other and then the teams down. And this was something we had to work on too, was having a one unified voice downwards, right? And that's something that we still work on, and it's not perfect, but it's always something that we strive to try to make better. And so, but it is fun. I mean, even if, like you said, Shantha, even a short getaway, like Bill and I just took a long weekend, and took a Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and just went and played a little bit. And it's amazing how today I feel so much more recharged. This week, I feel different. I feel like I've just got a spark in me that I didn't have even, a week ago. And so I think just sometimes you just need that little reset.
Mm-hmm. You do need that. And I like that what you had mentioned too, that you got to have boundaries as to what got time away mm-hmm. from your business, because it's very easy to just get sucked in and sit here. We're working past your time when you really should be with family, or just even rest for yourself. You can't just go. So it's so important to do that as well.
We did on purpose, because Bill and I have such different styles of work. So that is important for all of y'all listening. If you have styles of work, right? So Bill starts his morning at like 4 a.m. Y'all, I'm still snoozing at 4 a.m. Let's just be real. Right. And so he will get up, but then he's done by mid-afternoon, and he's like, okay, because he's gotten all of his work done. He gets more done between 4 and 9 a.m. than most people do in any business. Like, he is like rock solid from 4 to 9. Me, it's 6 a.m., y'all. It's 6. I need those 2 extra hours. But then the difference is I can work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night if I want to, because I am a later owl. But he's not. He is like, absolutely not. So we actually had to figure out even our time schedules, because both of us were very different on how we worked with our times. And then even on the weekends, I wanted to go do certain things with the grandkids, and he's very motivated to get a project done. Like, if there's a project, it's got to get done. So he would just work himself to death on a weekend. I'm like, we got to put boundaries, babe. Our children, I mean, and I always say this, and y'all may hear me, how many summers left do I have? And have you ever heard that? Have we ever talked about that real quick?
I don't know if we have on a podcast.
Okay. I had this one time at an event, and y'all, this changed the way I did business. Someone asked us at an event and said, I want you to sit there and pick a number and tell me, how many summers left do you think you honestly have left in this earth? And I was like, oh, that's awful. Why would you ask that question? And when we did the number, it was a speaker. He was like, now realize what's really important when you're working, what's really important when you're doing things. Because if you were to say, let's just say the number is 20, y'all, 20 is not long when you think about, or whatever your number is, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's just say we're going to use the number 20, right? Like, okay, I need to spend this summer doing this and this with my grandkids. I need to be doing this. Because that number becomes a reality, and that me working on a Saturday, Sunday, or whatever that is not nearly as important as the fact that I've got this 20 in my head, right? So although that's an awful thing to think about, it's also what you should be remembering, because that is the reality that we're not immortal. We have to make sure that we are spending time with our why, the reason why we're doing this. And if you don't do that, if you're not paying attention to those things, you can get burned out. And then what Emily and I were talking about before is you could have mental health issues, which can destroy your business and destroy your family, because you're not putting those boundaries up. And travel plays in that, because you got to go play and have fun and reset yourself.
I think what's beautiful too, to kind of loop it back, is the business that you've created for yourself, Shantha, is building that travel and that fun with your spouse into something that you can make money doing, which is what we're passionate about with bookkeepers. You can do this work on the road, traveling. You can find some of that balance in entrepreneurship that you cannot get with the JOB 9-to-5 golden handcuffs at your corporate job, right? We should talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the reason why I kind of, built it so that I can slowly step away from it, because you really can't do that when you're working 9 to 5. And, and then I had that kind of a guilty feeling, I'm not really, my mind is not on my work when I'm there. And then I felt like I'm not supporting my clients. So it had to come to a point where I felt comfortable enough to step away. But you just got to do what you have to do. And it was tough in the beginning, but you just do it and you build it one client at a time, and you just keep going.
I love that. Well, let's talk about some fun stuff here. What are some of the most adventurous or I guess memorable trips that you and Sam have planned or done? And I mean, because I've seen several on your Facebook group and they look pretty fun. Tell us some of your favorite.
Yeah, our favorite is, and we talked about it, Deanna, about the safaris. So the African safaris is one of our favorites. And I think it's all because we are so into the nature and the wildlife. Love the wildlife anywhere. Our second favorite was when we went to the Galapagos Island. So that was very pristine and things. So anything to do with nature, outdoorsy, we love that.
I love what you do, especially with the travel, because Bill and I are talking to you about the African safari, so we're pretty excited about that, to be honest. But the one thing that you do that's so unique is you kind of handle everything. Like I got to tell you, hands down. And I mean, I've owned an event company for 21 years. So I know the event space very well, like the back of my hands. And when I originally went in, I was like, we can do this. And I'm like, no, let Shantha do it. Like, let her do it. She's a pro at this. And you are a pro at this. You handle everything, right? Like, can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you do for your services and things like that?
Yeah. We say that we handle everything from the time you leave home till the time you come back. So pretty much, once you give us your where you would like to go, and we've planned it out, and then you can just step back. We take care of everything, even from getting you from your home to the airport and coming back. So it's a kind of like, I would say, like a done for you service, kind of everything, your hotel reservations, your transfers, your dinner reservations if you need it. So it's kind of fun. But I failed to mention, when we first started, family travel was our biggest joy and passion there, because our kids were small. We wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was possible to travel and not just leave the kids behind, because kids learn so much when they travel. It just opens up their world. So that was our passion, and we've grown into that to where we are right now with group travel and customized travel like safaris and other things.
Yeah, I've always taken the boys, my 3 boys, when they were little. I used to take them on cruises. I used to take them on trips with me to Mexico, and they would they loved traveling. And then as my kids are all adults now, and I've got the grandkids, my oldest son was helping me run the event business for a while. So he was traveling all over Costa Rica, London, like everywhere. We went to Australia, we did everything. And my kids would just go, and they learned to enjoy that. And my grandkids have now been able to enjoy that. We took our granddaughter to Costa Rica because she wanted to see monkeys, and I was doing a work trip there. And so we went, and it is really fun when you can let your kids or your family experience that with you. It really is. It doesn't have to stop. You don't have to feel guilty. You can take them with you. That's the joy of it.
Yeah. It really opens up their world. Yeah. Because sometimes, the kids here they just don't know what's out there and how privileged they are sometimes over here. So it really opens up their world and opens up their, I'm going to say, their feelings and their appreciation for things.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I know my granddaughter got to meet a lot of people when we were in Costa Rica, and there's some friends from Nicaragua, and that changed her view on things, right? Like, she was like, wow, I didn't realize. And I'm like, you don't realize how lucky you have it, little one, when you can just Amazon something and tomorrow it's miraculously on your doorstep. And I think it is good for them to have new lenses and to see the world and to see things that maybe they only other people just read about in history books. Like, to me, that's the other thing, is being able to actually let them physically see those things.
Yeah.
I think too, even looping that back to your business, not only is it good for your kids and your family and for growth, it's good for your personal growth, right? Business is all about interpersonal relationships and communicating with people, and you need to be opening up your world, your experience to lots of different type of people, lots of different types of viewpoints and locations and things. And that helps a little bit with the creativity to keep your business running and the drive behind it too. At least I find. I like, you just mentioned it, Deanna, coming back from a trip and feeling so refreshed and ready to go. And it inspires a little bit of that creativity that we need in business as well.
Did I even forget to mention, and I think, Shantha, you should probably really tell us if this is right or not, but this is business write-off as well when you travel for a business.
It is. Yeah.
Write it off.
Right. Yeah. Check with your CPA, but the part of it could be a write-off. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will tell you personally, that's what Bill and I do. We travel and we will make a business trip out of it. Somehow we'll figure it out so that it is legitimately a business expense. So for all of you that are now here are business owners, look at it in the lens as that could be an opportunity. I mean, when we went on the cruise, this is no joke. We were there to mingle and to get client business. We were there as a client acquisition work trip, but yet we were we were traveling to Mexico and we were on a week-long cruise, but we were working too. So that is a work expense that you can take off your taxes and write that off and still enjoy life and still enjoy traveling, right? So that's the fun part that a lot of people don't realize is that this can be a tax write-off.
It is. And you can even count those hours that we have dinner together because we are talking business.
Yep.
So it's all of that counts.
Yep. Every bit of it. Just talk to
You're on both talking about AI in business and growth and deals and all that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was really fun. So tell us, I guess, as far as when you decided to leave to the point of where you are now, what would you say is the biggest change for you or for you and Sam? What's the biggest change?
From before to now, I think when I did the transition, I had to network. I had to do a lot of networking, putting myself out there. You have to get word out there. You can't be just a hermit in your office and think that people will find you. So you have to be able to do that. And that opened up the door because once you're free of your 9 to 5, you can do that. You can go make connections. So that's been growing, and I still do that. We still have to continually do that. It's not once your business goes up and running well, you step back. You still got to make those connections, and you never know when that one connection is going to spark something for you.
Well, or the connection can make to other connections. I think that's something we don't realize is that just sometimes being in the right room, talking to the right people opens doors that you would not believe, right? Mm-hmm. So that person may not be the right person, but they might know of 10 other people, right? And so opening yourself up, and Shantha, you nailed it on the head. It's when you are starting a business or when you're transitioning to owning your own business, networking is like the biggest thing that you can do for yourself and your business. And I was talking to someone yesterday about this in the bookkeeping space. And I said, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I did one post, 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, so you think that you're going to go fishing and we've given you the boat and the fish are going to miraculously jump up on your boat and just land in your lap. Like, that's not how it works, people. You got to fish for the fish, right? Like it does take effort. And if you don't think, then if someone tells you it doesn't, they're lying to you. I'm going to say that right here. This is real talk. They're lying to you. It does require effort. It does require you sometimes to get out of your comfort zone and network and really get to know people. But that's the joy, is that helps you grow your business, and it helps you get to know other people that do. The only reason why I am here at the Stay at Home Bookkeeper Academy is because somebody connected me 2.5 years ago. If you think about the journey of all of us in some form or fashion of where we are, it's because of a connection of somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just life. And so you have to, when you're getting started, you have to be willing to get out there and make those connections and get uncomfortable and talk to people. And that's how you get to know people, because they know, I guarantee they probably know 10 people. Well, if you do that math and you get to know 10 people that know 10 people, you just now got 100 leads. It's not that hard, right? So I'm glad you said that, Shantha, because I think a lot of people are like, I just want this done for you business in my lap. And business is great. And it's so fun to start your own business, but don't be fooled. And I say this with love, but don't be fooled that you think that it's just going to just drop in your lap and be done. Like, any business worth doing and doing right is going to require some effort. That's it.
And what's more uncomfortable, right? Getting out there and talking about a new business, or working, we say 9 to 5, but realistically 7:30 to 6:30, and then stressing about it on the weekends. What's more uncomfortable, right? Like, let's choose our level of uncomfort. That's not a word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Right. Choose what we're uncomfortable about. And if it means being a little bit uncomfortable, putting yourselves out there for the goal of building something for yourself, I choose that. Let's pick that one.
I would dare to say, Emily, that if you start really loving and believing in what you're doing, it no longer feels like a chore. So with Shantha, for example, her and Sam love to travel. So, and it just, when she talks, y'all can see she's excited to tell you about, her African safaris and the trips that she does. That then doesn't become uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It just becomes that she's talking about a passion, something that she loves, that she does, and she does very, very well. And she's just talking about it. Same for all of you listening. If you're a bookkeeper and you love your job and you love the lifestyle that it's allowing you to have, it should not feel uncomfortable. It should feel you should be excited to share that you're helping someone's business by giving them their time back for you doing their books. And once you just start getting into that love and passion of your business, it doesn't feel like you're working. It really doesn't.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't. Yeah. One of my friends tells me this all the time. She says, it's not who you know, but who knows you. So
I like that.
Unless you go out and beat people, they're not going to know you. And so that's important, that people do know you. And the only way for it is to go around and meet and network. And like you said, it's one person leading to somebody else.
That was a mic drop right there. That made me realize, sitting here, what I do today, I can link it back to a conversation I had with someone when I was 19 years old. Has no connection to this business or what I do, but I'm sitting here thinking something I did, a program where I met a bunch of people, made a friend at 19, who then 5 years later introduced me to a job that I said yes to, that I then said another yes, led me to here. I didn't think about that connection, whenever you're just meeting people, but it's so interesting that we need to be willing to put ourselves out there, put ourselves in situations where we are meeting people that will take us on a trajectory in your business, in your life, wherever you're going to go. But you got to be open to that. You got to put yourself in the right room to make those connections.
Yeah, you could spend time in the wrong room, but you got to be able to have the discernment to decide where you want to spend your time in too.
I also want to say this, because this is really important too. Being in the right room is always the number one thing, because who you surround yourself with is who you work with, right? Like, you are the people that you surround yourself with, but it's also what you do with that after you leave that room. I think that's incredibly important as well. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go put yourself in those rooms, but then what happens if you don't follow up? What happens if you are not doing what you said you were going to do to those people that you talked to? So I think it's equally important for us to stress the fact that being in the right room is exactly where you need to be, and remember who you surround yourself with. But also remember that you have to follow up with those people that you were in the right room with.
The relationship. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't do this. I'm so sorry, really quick. I don't do this, but I probably should, because I've heard it from this guy who does this. He says every networking event he goes to and he meets somebody he wants to continue a conversation with, before he leaves the parking lot, he sends them a text message and connects with them, so that forms that connection right away, which is brilliant, which I'm guilty of. I should do that more frequently.
Yeah, our friend Casey does a lot of that with video texting, and I'm trying really hard myself to do that as well, because I feel like a lot of times it's easier to do it. You're right. Like, in the moment when you've got your phone and you go back to your car and you're like, well, those were 3 people in that room and I need to, what? So let me just send a video text real quick and let me get this done. Mm-hmm. You're right. I think if we could all do something along those lines where we're actually taking action in the moment, so that way we actually get results from being in that room. I think that's important. And I didn't share this. I maybe have shared this with you, Emily, but when we were we were on the cruise, we were doing that texting exercise. And it was really funny because we were texting people, and we talked about that with Casey, about how you should be getting used to, texting the people in your network so that your network builds your business, right? So we were texting someone, and out of the blue, it was someone that we hadn't spoken to in almost 2 years, which was this massive I mean, when I say massive, massive business opportunity. And just out of the blue, this person texted back too and just said, hey, I would love to follow up with you. Let's get back on our calendars and let's sync. And then this morning he came back and said, hey, let's get this on the calendar. Like, do you know how easy that could have been just to ignore? Because I hadn't talked to him in over 2 years. And shame on me, one, right? But number two, but because we did that texting exercise, because it got us in that habit of reaching back out to those cold leads, now I've got something back on my calendar and we're texting back and forth. And this could be a really big needle mover in our business. And yet I just sat on that, and I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty just like anybody else of just not always going back to my cold leads and keeping them warm. And so I think something like you just said, Shantha, if you leave the event, I think texting or doing a video will keep that momentum going. So at least you feel like you're taking action on the things that were important out of that networking event.
Yeah. It's such a simple task, right? That we kind of overlook. Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's so simple that we don't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. So before, I know we want to be respectful of your time. And, for all of you that are listening, you're thinking, yeah, I do want to have a business and I do want to travel and I do want to do all those things. We want to encourage you that, the thing about starting your own business, yeah, it can be kind of, starting out is not always the easiest, but it can be done. And the best part about it is that you can do it anywhere. And we talk about bookkeeping being able to be one of those businesses that truly is something that you can do anywhere. You don't have to be tied to an office or a brick and mortar store. You don't have to be tied down with equipment, right? You're only, I want to move my laptop, but this is the only thing right here that you really have to have with Wi-Fi. And that's the key to having a bookkeeping business, is that, you can do that and you can travel and you can do all those things. So I would like to try to end today with what is something that you can leave people with? And then Emily, you can ask her too. What is something you would leave people with today that are in that startup struggling? I need to do that balance of my business and I still want to travel. Knowing what you know now and how you've changed your business, what advice would you give them?
Oh, when you're in the startup mode, it's always good to be a little confident. Don't always double guess, second guess yourself. Just if something comes up, you try it. There's no harm in trying it and letting it fail if that's not the right one for you to do. But always kind of take action on that. Sometimes I think, personally, I feel like, oh, is that going to work? I overthink things too much. So don't overthink it. Just do it and just go in faith.
And just do it imperfectly, as we've said that. Emily and I have talked about that before, is it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just do it imperfectly, but do it, right? So Emily, what you got?
I think that is a beautiful way to end. What I've taken from this is you can build a life that you love and make money while doing it, but you need to be able to take some imperfect action and just find some confidence and just make it happen, even if you're a little worried about how the steps to get there, right? So I think this has been an awesome conversation. And I just want to thank you, Shantha, for your vulnerability, your generosity, and sharing your story and what you've built. I've learned a lot from this. And I think I also might want to be packed in the suitcase for the trip to Africa. So
yeah.
Thank you both.
And Shantha, we'll be able to put your information in the show notes. So for anyone out there listening, if you would like to plan the most fabulous trip, and maybe for your work or for you and your spouse, your family, maybe it's for your company, whatever it is, I would definitely give Shantha a call. She's fantastic. She truly does handle everything from the moment that you say, this is where I want to go, to when you get back. Like, she does it all. And she's amazing. And the other day she even saves you money. I just got to throw that in there, because she saved me and Bill a whole bunch of money the other day when she found a deal for us and she brought it back to the table, and it saved us a lot of money. So I was really excited about that. But so you do need to chat with Shantha if there's any travel in your future that you would like to book with her, and we'll put her information in the show notes so you guys can reach out to her and plan your next work/vacation trip that you would like. So Shantha, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you both.
All right.
Well, I love it. To everybody listening, we hope you enjoyed our conversation today. And if something stood out to you in this conversation, we want to remind you, don't just listen to this and move on. We want you to take some action, take some of that imperfect action we were just speaking about. And if you are listening to this thinking, you know what? Okay, I'm convinced. I'm ready to build something of my own. We would love to be here to help you with that. So you can check out more episodes of our Stay at Home Bookkeeper Academy podcast in our links below. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can see links. You can also join us in our podcast on any of the different channels. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody else who you may want to build something with. And we have just loved having this conversation with you today, Shantha. Thank you. Deanna, thank you as always. And we will see everybody inside the next episode.
Well, I'm excited. And before we end here, I do want to do a shameless plug. I just realized we are doing a bookkeeping cruise next year in February. Shantha is planning it. So anyone here listening, if you would like to go cruise with us and do /work/fun and write off your business expense, join us. You can book it now. You get to put a deposit down and then you can pay it off. But we are going in February to the Bahamas, and we're all going as a big group. There'll be over 100 of us, and we could not be more excited about that trip. And we would love to have you on that cruise with us as well. So sorry, I just felt like I had to do that shameless plug.
We'll put the information down in the comments below.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you, Shanta Mony. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.